I'm not a psychology guy, but I love this lesson in terms of salespeople. So there was Dr. Eric Berne in the 60s came up with this theory of transactional analysis. And so he says that by the age of 5, we are all pre-programmed with certain responses to different stimuli. And so for most of us, that grew up in either 1 or 2 parent household, we have 2 types of parents that we associate with from a big picture perspective. We have a nurturing parent and we have a critical parent. So for some folks, that was all wrapped into one. For other folks, one of their parents was a nurturing parent, one of their parents was a critical parent. But I think most folks can appreciate and associate with either one or both their parents had these types of qualities for the most part. So for me, my dad was more the critical parent and my mom was more the nurturing parent. And so the nurturing parent was, whenever I scraped my knee or, got a bloody lip or whatever else, or, had a bad day at school, mom just says, come in, sit down on my lap, tell me all about it, right? My dad, when I go play baseball, would say, man, you struck out 5 guys tonight, but you really could have got that other guy and you didn't quite get there. So he was a critical parent. Oh, you did decent golf today, but you didn't do as well as you could have. You shot 3 strokes lower yesterday. So both of these exist within both of our minds. Then there's the adult. So the adult is a persona of we've learned and evolved over time. So obviously, most of us have, we went to high school, we went to college, some people went to grad school. So we've learned new skills, learned a lot of more knowledge. And so we constantly incorporate our own skills and experience into the world around us, and we continue to evolve on purpose to try to reach a more complete version of ourselves, if you will. And so then we also have the child living in every single one of us. So there's 3 different types of kids. There's a rebellious kid, which, sometimes you weren't necessarily the rebellious kid, but probably one of your brothers or sisters was. There's the natural child, which this is a kid that loves to sing, dance, be silly, is innately curious, ask a ton of questions. Hey, mommy, what about this? Why that? Why that? We all know that, I've got a 4-year-old. The question why is wonderful because it just provides the kid with so many opportunities for you to just love on them and provide them with information because they're so curious about the world around them. We also have an adaptive child. So the adaptive child is the one that learned how to get love from the critical parent. So typically this is, when they come down on you, the adaptive child's response was not to come back in their face. It was to sort of cower, to, become meek and become more timid and say, yes, sir, you're right. Yes, sir, you're right. Oh, you're so right. So appreciate that. I will try harder next time. And so the adaptive child is always in response to the critical parent. So when we as salespeople walk into a prospect meeting, we need to act in a particular form or fashion. So we recognize we have all 3 of these personas that live within us. And so what we say in Sandler is that you got to bring your nurturing parent to the table, because as a salesperson, you want that prospect to become very comfortable with you. You want them to essentially act as your child, where you're the mom and say, you know what, come here and tell me all about it. Tell me all of your problems. And you want to have that persona where they feel comfortable to just spill and throw up all over you. That's a beautiful thing to have. And the only way you do that is with a lot of product and industry knowledge and the right questions, and there's some very specific techniques associated with that. You also want to come with the adult. So what have you learned over the course of your experience that aids them in helping to, uncover some of those needs and that information? And then down here, the only child that we want is the natural child. We want the kid that's innately curious. So we want to understand, why are they doing that way in that organization, because we've met with 6 other organizations that all do it slightly differently. So why are you guys choosing to do it this way? So whether you want to say it's the Sherlock Holmes mentality or the Columbo mentality, you got to be naturally curious, honestly naturally curious about your prospect's business in order to really understand their world. What happens, and we all as salespeople have experienced this, every now and again we're going to walk into an office and we're going to encounter essentially the critical parent. It's going to be a prospect that gets very combative, gets very aggressive for whatever reason. Our childhood programming takes us to our adaptive child, where our immediate response or typical response is, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, you know what, I'll do better. And what happens is as soon as we revert in that mode, we quit being a salesperson. And so we have to, on purpose, tell ourselves, even if they're aggressive, there's ways and techniques that I can address that aggressiveness and pacify them while still maintaining a sales process, while still advancing my agenda within their organization. So, there's a number of different ways you can do it, but let's just say, for a simple example is, apologize to them. is there something that I said that, that got you all upset? I'm very, I'm sorry if I said something that caused you to have that reaction. You try to pacify them, and then you get them back into the sales process of, okay, we're trying to have an adult conversation here about your business, about your needs, if there's an opportunity for me to help you or not. But understand that these 3 personas live within every single one of us, and they all come out in different ways in the sales process. And so it's very important for salespeople to understand this concept in order to practice and learn over time to, on purpose, approach things in a slightly different manner than just doing what the natural response is.